My name is Sarabeth Holden. I live in Toronto. I am originally from Inuktut. I am an author, and my books are published by Inhabit Media. I have two books so far, Please Don't Change My Diaper and Benny the Bananosaurus Rex. Benny has been nominated for a Blue Spruce Award as part of the Forest of Reading. Please Don't Change My Diaper was my first book, and it was inspired by my first child who hated having his diaper changed. And I would sing all sorts of songs to try and make the process a little bit easier. And one day I was singing and I was like, oh, that's actually a really great story. And I wrote it down, and that's how Please Don't Change My Diaper became a book. And then in 2020, I was pregnant with my second child, and my then 2-year-old was obsessed with bananas. He would eat 5 bananas a day. And they always say that there are 2 points in your life where you know a lot about dinosaurs: when you're 4 years old and when you have a 4-year-old. And so that combination was really inspiring. And, having these 2 little kids, one being 2 and one being a newborn, they're just full of energy and inspiration. And that's how Benny the Bananosaurus Rex came to life. Inuktut is important to me because I grew up mainly in the south. We always moved back and forth. And whenever I went to Inuktut, it would be a transition. And I was never perfectly fluent, but it always felt like a piece of home to me. And knowing certain words and speaking with my family and having those terms of endearment and having conversations with our family, it just helps to complete who I am. So I'm raising my kids in Toronto, and they speak English and they're learning French. And we're lucky to have my mom live so close. And so very similarly to how I grew up, they're learning some Inuktut words. And I think it's just important because that's part of who they are. So in Benny the Bananosaurus Rex, there's a spread where Benny is asking his Ananat Seaq, what the word is in Inuktut for bananas. And she explains it to him that bananas don't grow in the Arctic, so there is no word for bananas. And these are questions that I had for my mom growing up. I would say, Mom, how do you say this in Inuktut? And she would say, well, there isn't a word. And she was very direct, because the way that languages develop are things that you have around you. And bananas are something that are fairly new to Inuit because they weren't available in the north. And I think that that's a really important part of learning about our own cultures, about where words come from. And that's always something that fascinated me. And I think it's also reflected in Inuktut across the territory and the influences and, as different things came into the communities and introduced different materials and different ways of life and how that influenced the language. And to me, languages are fascinating. And you're always going to be learning things, and it doesn't matter how old you are, you can always be learning things about languages, and it just opens up an entirely new world. I'm really excited that Benny was just released last week in French. I speak French, and it's very exciting to have those little bits of Inuktut available in French as Benny the Bananosaurus Rex or Benny le Bananosaure. This summer, my 3rd book comes out. It's called Sea Snooze, again influenced by my children, who have always fought sleep. And I made up the story while I was trying to get them to go to sleep and telling them all about the amazing parts of Nunavut in terms of animals. So Sea Snooze lets kids explore all the animals and sea life as they get ready to go to bed. So that's coming out in July. I think that as a writer, my brain is always kind of going. And I take the time to write things down when I can. And I'm really excited about the next project that I'm working on that I'll be submitting to Inhabit during the next submission period. And the title is Inuk in the City. And so we call our younger son Inuktut, and he loves to explore the city of Toronto with his Ananat Seaq. And I think that that's a really great opportunity for both of them to get to spend time together and explore new things and learn new things together. And Jackson, his English name, he's got this great Seaq who's willing and able to take him around the city and explore. And so that book is going to be exploring the city of Toronto in the way that they do it. And I think it's really cool.